Hi everybody. We're going to read another book today. It's called Amelia Bedelia, and this is my friend Nora, and she's going to listen as I read, okay? Can you wave?
First, can we wait for Jackson?
I think he's going to be in the other room with his mom.
Oh.
Is that okay? With your mom. Oh, Amelia Bedelia, your first day of work, and I can't be here. But I made a list for you. You do just what the list says Mr. Rogers.
Hey, I am back.
Oh, you are? Okay. Oh, Amelia Bedelia, your first day of work. I can't be here, but I made a list for you. You do just what the list says, said Mrs. Rogers. Mrs. Rogers got into the car with Mr. Rogers, and they drove away. Amelia Bedelia went inside. Oh, it's such a grand house. These must be rich folks. I must get to work. Here I stand just looking at me with a whole list of things to do. Amelia Bedelia stood there a minute longer. I think I'll make a surprise for them. I'll make lemon meringue pie. I do make good pies. So Amelia Bedelia went into the kitchen. She put a little of this and a pinch of that into a bowl, and she mixed and she rolled, and soon her pie was ready to go in the oven. Well, there, says Amelia Bedelia, that's all done. Now let's see what the list says. Amelia Bedelia read, change the towels in the green bathroom. Amelia Bedelia found the green bathroom. Those towels are very nice. Why change them?
I'm tied up.
You are tied up. Then Amelia Bedelia remembered what Mrs. Rogers said. She must do just what the list told her. Well, all right, said Amelia Bedelia. And so Amelia Bedelia got some scissors and she snipped a little here and a little there, so she changed the towels. Do you think that's what she was supposed to do? Whoops. There, said Amelia Bedelia, and she looked at her list again. Then it said, dust the furniture. Did you ever tell of such a silly thing? In my house, we undust the furniture, but to each his own. So Amelia Bedelia took one last look at the bathroom, and she saw a big box with the words dusting powder on it. Well, look at that, a special powder to dust with, exclaimed Amelia Bedelia. So Amelia Bedelia dusted the furniture. She's putting dust all over everything. That should be dusty enough. Oh, how nice it smells. Oh, thank you. So Amelia Bedelia sat right down and, oh, wait a minute. We missed a page because my arms are tied up. Okay. Next, it said on the list, draw the drapes when the sun comes in. She looked up, the sun was coming in. Amelia Bedelia looked at the list, draw the drapes. Did you know that means close the drapes? But she didn't understand. She said, draw the drapes. That's what it says. I'm not much of an artist, but I'll give it a try. And so she sat down and she drew the drapes. Look, she's drawing a picture of the drapes. That's crazy. Amelia Bedelia marked off the drapes. Now what? Put the lights out when you finish the living room. Put the lights out. Do you think that means turn off the lights? That's what it means. But she was confused. She thought, wait a minute. So she switched off the lights. She unscrewed each bulb and she put the bulbs outside on the clothesline because it said to put the bulbs out. Amelia Bedelia is so confused. These things need to be aired out too, she said, just like pillows and babies. And so she put them outside on the clothesline. Oh, my pie, exclaimed Amelia Bedelia. She hurried into the kitchen. It's just right, she said. She took the pie out of the oven, she put it on the table to cool, and she looked at her list again. Measure 2 cups of rice. Well, that's next, said Amelia Bedelia. And so she found 2 cups. She filled them with rice, and then she measured them. Amelia Bedelia laughed. These folks want me to do the funniest things. And she poured the rice back into the container. The meat market will deliver a steak and a chicken. Please trim the fat before you put the steak in the icebox, and please dress the chicken. Oh dear. When the meat arrived, Amelia Bedelia opened the bag. She looked at the steak for a long time, and she said, oh yes, that will do nicely. Amelia Bedelia got some lace and some bits of ribbon, and Amelia Bedelia trimmed the fat before she put the steak in the ice box. Oh my goodness. Then it says, I must dress the chicken. I wonder if it's a he chicken or a she chicken, said Amelia Bedelia. She went right to work, and soon the chicken was finished. To dress the chicken means to get it ready to cook, and she put clothes on it. Amelia Bedelia heard the door open. The folks are back, she said, and she rushed out to meet them. Amelia Bedelia, why are all the light bulbs outside? Asked Mr. Rogers. Well, the list said to put the lights out, said Amelia. It didn't say to bring them back in. Oh, I do hope I didn't air them out too long. Amelia Bedelia, the sun will fade the furniture. I asked you to draw the drapes, said Mrs. Rogers. I did, see, said Amelia Bedelia, and she held up her picture of the drapes. Then Mrs. Rogers saw the furniture. The furniture! Did I dust it well enough? Asked Amelia Bedelia. It's such nice dusting powder. I think she's not done quite what they thought. Mr. Rogers went to wash his hands. I say, he called, these are unusual towels. Mrs. Rogers dashed into the bathroom. Oh, my best towels! Didn't I change them enough? Asked Amelia Bedelia. Mrs. Rogers went to the kitchen. I'll cook the dinner. Where's the rice I asked you to measure? I put it back in the container, but I remember it measured 4.5 inches, said Amelia Bedelia. Was the meat delivered? Asked Mrs. Rogers. Yes, said Amelia. I trimmed the fat just like you said. Look, she put little decorations all around the fat. I opened it and I put lace and ribbons on it. Oh dear, said Mrs. Rogers. And the chicken, you dressed the chicken? Yes, I found the nicest box to put him in, said Amelia. Box? Mrs. Rogers hurried over the box. She lifted the lid. There lay the chicken. He was dressed just as nice as could be. He's even got socks on. Lemon meringue pie, she exclaimed. I made it to surprise you, said Amelia Bedelia happily. So right then and there, Mr. and Mrs. Rogers decided that Amelia Bedelia could stay because they liked lemon meringue pie. So Mrs. Rogers learned to say, undust the furniture, unlight the lights, close the drapes, and things like that. And Mr. Rogers didn't care if Amelia Bedelia trimmed all his steaks with lace. All he cared about was that she was there to make lemon meringue pie. The end.
Can I read that one more time?
I don't think so. I have to go get some work done. Bye, guys. Love you. Thanks for coming to see us today.